أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم، حياكم الله وكل عام وأنتم بخير. اليوم يوم الخميس والموافق يوم 4 من شوال 1446 هجري، والموافق يوم الخميس. ما شاء الله تبارك الله. Moments before it is Laylatul Jum'ah. It is the 4th of Shawwal. It is the 3rd day of our fasting for the 6 days of Shawwal. Natural, very, very natural. Nothing religious, nothing out of the books, nothing that makes somebody feel more pious than the other. We've been fasting most of our lives. It's not going to make a difference. But what is important is the consistency. Your determination is now being rated. Okay. So that's not our department, people. We understand it. Whatever people think of you is not you. Okay. Whatever you think people think of you is not even you. The only thing that you know about you is what you know about yourself, because you don't believe your name, you know your name. Okay? If you know your name, it means that you should know your God. You should know Allah. You cannot believe in your Allah. If you are definite about your name, you're definite about your mother's name, you can no longer, in this new dispensation of your life, you can no longer be in a speculative module. Okay? The old house has been terminated, my dear mothers and fathers. Okay? Your old paradigm, your old city, your old concept of prophets and Allahs and gods and books and chapters, unfortunately, that is now a ghost town. Okay? It is born on something which you had by yourself chosen to eliminate in your lifetimes. Okay? By the will of Allah, of course. However, you must now come to terms with the fact that that house that you left behind in a civilization is considered to the present civilization as a ghost city. Ghost city, it means what? Whoever didn't wake up from that graveyard will remain a ghost. Okay? If you did not start not believing, knowing, instead of believing. This is the age of knowing. It's not the age of believing, because you can't live for 50 years and still believe. You must by now know. Okay? So if you could not upgrade your value systems, your cosmic knowledge, your transitional periods, restorational periods, if you could not refine your conscious and detach from that ego affiliations and attachments and that which had kept you on a low vibration, you see, that which had defined you through means of your status quo and your ego core and your possessions and where you live and where you studied and who is your friends and what money you have in the bank. That doesn't anymore count, because that's a ghost town where you're living now. Okay? If you did not extract yourself out of that dukhan, out of that confusion, okay, it became a ghost town after 6 Ramadans. The 2019 civilization that ever that you experienced in 1950, 1950, 60, 70, 80, 90, khalas, that does not exist anymore in truth. It is only those who are still unconscious, that did not wake up since the COVID invasion in psychology, okay? They had to go and find a new Allah, a new Muhammad, a new translation of interpretation, okay? Those who had restored their authenticity, they would have been they would have revived their ancestral lineage and connection with their ancestral bloodlines, as well as the organic and divine heritage. Okay, that is the inheritance from the heavens. Now, what does the Quran tell you about that? Remember, the Quran is not a history book. Now, you can no longer speak about Muhammad that is buried under the ground, because then you'll be living in the dead. Then you are living in a ghost town, because prophets cannot die. Prophets brings prophecies. Okay, so now you have to reincarnate a concept, a picture, a storyline of a Muhammad. You can't make him into a man, because you can't kill him twice already. So the man that is buried under that soil, wherever you find him, is not Muhammad. It is just a mythology. It's just a story now. It's a najis situation you're in. Physiologically, it's a najis situation you're in, because they weet nie wat te kan doen om te draai nie, because they het geglo aan 'n man wat dood is. Okay, this was promised to us. Yani, this was a promise to us, that we did not have to believe in the man or in a specific place. We had to find him in a cosmic space. Okay, now what has happened with the ghost town now, and the psychology in that ghost town is going to drive you insane, because your beliefs was nullified. You had to jump, you had to invert into knowledge now, into ilm. The only place you're going to find ilm is in the Medina. The Medina is not a place in the physical realm. It is a place where Allah had kept sacredly stored for those who would migrate to the city in the heavens, not the city in the Jahannam, the city in the heavens. Remember, I'm telling you guys, you have to you have to realize that is now a dark world in your civilization. Okay, that is the destroyed village that Allah chose to destroy. Whoever did not wake up from that invasion and that occupation and that tunnel visions and that warmongering and that two-state solutions and questioning the ill efficiency of a God that cannot help a people that is desperate, that doesn't have food, that is so useless. What Allah cannot help people? And that is how they watered you down. That is how you killed your God inside of you. That is how you replaced a God narrative, a God gene with a Iblis, a devil. You replaced a God with a devil in your psychology. Okay? Die as a adab. Sonet sy wet. Okay, your children will pick it up now in psychology, because what happens in the new realm of a psychology now, look, since the 29th of March, since the eclipse, okay, now that we are in Shawwal, this is a complete Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaqa al-Insan, Allamahu al-Bayan, okay. It's a complete new narrative. You've got to form and write a new narrative of how you understand prophecy. Who is a prophet? Why does a prophet come? Why doesn't a prophet come to you? What made Allah to fall asleep that he didn't give you a direction? What made him give you an inferior identity? These are the things that your children are going to ask you now, and you have no answers in it, because you are still living in the ghost city. You had not woken up from the graveyard, from the qabr. وَإِذَا الْقُبُورُ بُعْثِرَتْ عَلِمَتْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ وَأَخَّرَتْ. Ya ayyuhal insanu ma gharraka bi rabbikal kareem. Okay? People, this is for the people who is alive, not for the people that is dead, because the people that are dead are buried. Yani, whichever religions they were following, whichever systems that they did not upgrade, they had to form a new narrative. Okay? Now, prophecies was never physical because God's destroyed it in COVID. Okay, you had to now revise what the Quran's interpretation of a physical or a biological or a metaphysical, yani a metaphorical, okay, prophet. That is what a prophet is. It was never outside, it was always inside. But your test was that you had to fall in love with something without seeing it, and then you were going to be examined as to were you physically entrapped or were you emotionally dysfunctional or were you psychologically derailed. Okay? That's the three kings. That is the وَثَلَاثَةُ الَّذِينَ خُلِّفُوا. You had to bring alignment to your psychology, to your diagnostic mind, to your physical, mental, and to your spiritual side. Your air, your fire, and your earth. Okay, that's the dimensions that you had to find synchronicity in. And now, also over the last 6 Ramadan, since now, you had to also form a new story because julle kinders nou maak hier 'n storie because julle het julle eie storie doodgemaak. Okay? Psychologically, physiologically, spiritually, everything. Remember, the Quran didn't come in a physical world, it came in a metaphysical standard. Okay? So you had to come out of the stone age, out of the cave age, out of the decomposed narrative, and you had to now re-script a new house. You had to come into a new story. Nou, meeste van julle het nie storie nie because julle glo nie in Allah nie. Ja, julle weet nie wie Allah nie, julle glo net in Allah. If you didn't meet Allah by now, then you are still dead. Okay? That's just how the system is. This is the exams, and Allah said it was a karbun azim. It was a great challenge. Most of you are quietly questioning why Allah is not helping the Palestinian children, giving them food for Eid. This was the spell that you were thrown in, as the Quran said, the Babylonian spell, that you had to question the God and kill the God gene inside of you, because that God is a helpless God. It's a useless God. He doesn't exist only in your mind because you believe it. Okay? But if you know the real Allah, you will not question him, nor will you antagonize him. You did that. Okay? Your adversary showed you. He led the pack, and you were the genocide in the altercation. Okay? Quran has nothing to do with that part of the world, people. Quran's got everything to do with the exoteric, what happens in the mind, because the universe is in the mind, the intelligence is in the mind, the sama is your mind, the ard is your body, the earth is your body, the sama is your mind. Okay? The interpretation of the Quran now, unfortunately, those who did not get their upgrades, they would be deemed in the Quran as mushrikun. They are idolaters. They have adhered to idolic lifestyles. They have found themselves in a cube and worshipping the sun god. Okay, the 360 day god that they believe that brought a physical prophet into life. That doesn't exist anymore, people. Wallahi, you must live in the conscious, in the truth. Allah is the modulator of truth, not you or I. The stories that you believed in now has all been artificialized by artificial intelligence, because you believed in something you didn't see. You believed in something that was not valid for the heavens journey, for the Isra. You were all prepared for the Isra, om julle pakkie reg te maak, om julle pakkie vol te maak as julle mark toe gaan. As julle in die mark kom, dan het julle padkos, man. Nou, meeste van julle het net geld op julle en daar is niks wat julle kan doen met die geld, because die geld gaan julle nie kan help nou nie, because it's alles false nou. All that money is false. Okay, you needed to find the real currency. Now, what do you call a currency in Arabic? You call it Jerusalem. Jerusalem. That is divine peace. Peace. That's the peace currency. Nou, julle weet jy hoekom roep hulle Jerusalem, Jerusalem nie? Julle follow blindly because van die mainstream. Okay? Nou gaan julle sien wat gaan gebeur in die next age. How you will be expelled from what you ever thought was your cardinal beliefs, because you will be deemed a idolater, a mushrik, okay, a kafir, denying what the cosmic exposure is done to the past age since COVID, and how a new narrative of who is and what was the meaning really of Muhammad. Was he a human, or was it a time that you are living through now as you are finding yourself now? Okay. Then Allah says, وَأَن تَجْمَعُوا بَيْنَ الْأُخْتَيْنِ إِلَّا مَا قَدْ سَلَفَ. Okay. You cannot marry two sisters. When the Quran speaks about this, it speaks about cosmic time. It doesn't speak about biological things, people. Quran never came for that purpose. Quran came to give you an exact framework of how the times, the cycles were going to merge, and how it was going to extract those who did not find surviving mechanisms, and how it would give life to the new house, the new bait of consciousness that was coming in. That was the reason Quran is a cosmological and astrological medium of getting understanding of that which we cannot see, but we have to search for. That was the Quran's purpose. You had to escape the physical ambit of your ego conscious, and detach from that which was ever a false evaluation of your true self. That was it. We didn't find our mothers there. We didn't find our fathers there. Most of them were left in the ghost town. Couldn't do the somersault. Okay, an indictment to your lineage, because it's not nice if your children has to refer to you as the past idolaters, the mushrikun of an age. You cannot detach it from that, because the heavens is now, and as the Quran reveals a new chapter in this book. This is a book. The Quran is above. Okay, so as the waves of conscious now goes into a higher frequency, the Quran is now giving us a complete opposite meaning, an interpretation of being the physical vessel and being the conscious self. It's two difference, because that one is above, this one is below. We've always been above. We just got lost here in the bottom. We just lost identity, and we fraudulently took on a bionic metamorphosis. Okay, which was the digital. It was the digital phase of your incarnations, or of your experience, of your enrichment, or whatever you want to call it. Now, as we come into this new house, a new story, a new understanding of who is a prophet, who is a nabi, what is a rasul, what is a nafs, what is a qalb, what is a heart, what is an intellect. You have to redefine every bloody thing that you ever believed in, because you are coming now from the physical to the metaphysical. This is a spiritual age. Your ancestral lineage in this area now. Look, you're going through a flip. This is a shift. قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء. You had to rise. You had to ascend into conscious now. Okay, that was the Bayt to Nur. That was the illuminating phase. This got nothing to do with religion. Religion is not for this age. You need to find your authenticity. That's what you need, because with your authenticity will come the truth, and the highest form of religion is truth. Okay. There's no religion higher than truth, and once you find the truth, then you have to submit to the truth, and that is what we call Islam, submission. What you were following and got lost in the last 30-40 years of your civilization is that you and I got carried away and infatuated with something which was not real. It was not permanent. It was not tangible, people. You fell in love with a thing which would never be yours because you couldn't take it with you. Since COVID took everything away and you still fictionally believe it's yours, that's your ghost town that you're living in. That's the ghost you're living with. You're living as a ghost. You're not a self. You're not a conscious. You're not linked to a God. You're to Allah. You're linked to the demonic, the demonic monetary magic spells that you have been cursed into. Okay. We were all given fair chances. You didn't need to be intelligent. You had to expel all your titles, all your, if you wanted to go on the ascension, on the Mi'raj, okay? If you wanted to understand what was eternity, if you wanted to understand what was the time zones, then you had to, there were many of us that made the hijrah. That's the hijrah. That's the hijrah from Makkah to Medina. You don't see the Prophet physically. You get him along the way if you made your niyyah. Okay? It's physiological. It's metaphysical. It's astrological. It's cosmological. Okay? You are only stuck into a Western scientific religion. Whether it's soccer, whether you call it you have different formats of addictive lifestyle modules. Like soccer is the greatest religion of your age, because look what they pay the players, and look, we are the most expensive players, and how they kept you in a intoxication. Soccer in the Arabic language means intoxication. Okay, so that's the world's greatest intoxication and religion and opium. And from there onwards, then it's shirk all the way down. Okay, so your children, like my generation, we can actually analyze this on the big screen, and we can say, my God, waar gaan ons nou die mense kan kry terug op die streekpad, of hoe gaan hulle kan verstaan die ding? But as I always tell you, is that we are not here to antagonize anyone, but we are just here as observers and behind the war zone, but we don't wear the red cross because we're not part of the Swiss. That crosses and that British cross, there's two crosses on the British flag. It's all the things that has clustered your understanding of who you are, how to find liberation, how to find eternity, how to overcome the battle of the illusion of death. Okay, how can you believe people never die? Okay, how do you get into that synchronicity? You got the world at your hands. You all were given that. Allah was fair. وَمَا كُنَّا مُعَذِّبِينَ حَتَّى نَبْعَثَ رَسُولًا. When Allah sent the messenger, we all ran away. We all hide from the messenger. But he came with a message only. He didn't come to bring fear. Die Shaitan het die bang. Sê ja vir julle bang gemaak, vir ons bang gemaak. Nou sit ons met Shaitan se Allah, en ons staan met 'n storie wat 'n groot lieg is. Okay? That's when you have to understand لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. If you're not prepared to detach from that which you have fallen in love with, then you will not know what is bir. And who's al-bir? Allah is al-bari. Allah is the one that creates, and He's the one that negates. And this is where we are now, in this new house where we have a story. Remember, the soul tribes has the story. They got permission from the Great Mother to write the new story. And this is the story that will hold for 2,000 years in a civilization. Are you inside the house? We don't have invitations, but we know the location of that house. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. May Allah grant your forefathers the barakat and enjoy the bukkah. And you'll hear from us somewhere along the lines. You will hear what is the story and who is Muhammad and who was Ibrahim. Okay? Allah give you barakat. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
يا مصطفى كل شيء